first juror has been seated in the trial of Derek Chauvin. Now, Chauvin is the former Minneapolis police officer charged with killing George Floyd. Jury selection started today after being delayed yesterday. Our Alex Perez joins us live outside the courthouse in Minneapolis with the latest. Alex, what do we know about this first juror so far?
Well, Diane, we know that jurors' identities will remain secret, but there are a few things we know about this first juror that was seated this morning. We know he's a white male in his 20s to 30s. He says he works as a chemist. He also says he supports the Black Lives Matter movement, but has some problems with the organization itself. He says he has an unfavorable view of the pro-police movement, Blue Lives Matter. He also says he has not seen that gut-wrenching video with Chauvin on top of Floyd. He said he's seen some still images of that video, but he has not seen the video itself. So he is the first juror to be seated. There are a total of 18 people who have been dismissed, 16 that didn't even make it past the questionnaire process, and 2 dismissed in court today.
To turn this into a war zone, to try to intimidate and try to do fear. This is what the fucking problem. The system isn't built to de-escalate. The system is built to keep escalating. This been seen as escalation. This page is escalation. And there's no healing process that can start while it's still up there.
Yeah, speak, DJ. Go ahead, nephew.
Derek Chauvin faces charges of second-degree murder and manslaughter in the May 2020 death of George Floyd. The process began Tuesday and is now expected to last about 3 weeks. It started a day later than originally scheduled, due in part to a request by prosecutors to reinstate a third-degree murder charge. Jamie Yukas has the latest from Minneapolis.
Have been summoned as potential jurors.
Jury selection started a day late, so lawyers wasted little time.
I want to make sure that what you would apply would be the Minneapolis Police Department's standards versus your personal experience being trained in jiu-jitsu. You would do that?
I would do that.
The dismissal of minority potential jurors drew an objection from the prosecution.
The defense has made its preparatory challenge now, and it's the second person of color in the jury pool.
The streets were calmer after hundreds marched around the courthouse Monday. But in a city that has seen violence surge since George Floyd's death, including a 14-year-old who was killed last night.
Bring in Sharita Tate. She is George Floyd's cousin. Sharita, thank you very much for joining us during this difficult time.
Thank you for having me.
So you were the only family member of George Floyd who was present in the courtroom Tuesday. First of all, how are you doing, and what are your thoughts on the proceedings?
Thank you so much for asking. I'm doing as well as you can expect. I mean, it's a bittersweet process that we're having to go through, but we're grateful for the opportunity to be a part of it from the very beginning.
Inequality, with Minnesota being ground zero of the match that has sparked this outpouring of consciousness for our shared community. We are still here waiting to cash that check that has fallen on a bankrupt system of expedient politicians, administrators, and tolerant allies of the same, in opposition to progress for a more perfect union.
Today, with its charred remnants of last night's rioting, the fury evident at every corner. Overnight, demonstrators had rampaged. The violence, the anger, and the flames, at times well out of control, continued until dawn. And throughout, looting was equally rampant. It's all become soberingly familiar in this country.
y'all. All right, y'all. So our next speaker is going to be Jess Sundin with Freedom Road Socialist Organization. Give them a hand. Thank you, Destiny. First of all, I want to give a shout out. Today is International Women's Day. Let's hear it for the women and non-binary folks that lead this movement, especially the mothers and spouses and fiancés and loved ones of our stolen lives. So shout out to all of us, hey? Look, we live in a country where a man can be strangled to death in broad daylight under the knee of a murderous cop. Just like we live in a country that has inside its borders whole nations of people held down under the boot of empire. This country doesn't know equality on any front. Economic, political, education, housing, health, nothing is equal here, am I right? And the powers that be, they want us to believe that's just the way it is. It's like gravity and daylight, like it just happens. We have to live like this, they say. That we have no choice but to sit by and watch our beloved community members die by our enemy's hands. Why say to hell with that? Are you okay with that? Hell no. We got this far here today hoping these courts will deliver justice for George Floyd only because we fought for it in the streets of Minneapolis and every major city in this country and in every country on this planet. We said, hell no, that murderous cops have got to go. And we are here today because justice begins with the conviction of Derek Chauvin. And then the convictions of his 3 accomplices. But the justice we really seek is so much more than just the convictions of killer cops. We unite with the demand for community control over the police because who else has the right to say who polices our communities and how but you and me? But let's talk about a world where it's community control over society. In Freedom Road, we say once and for all, let's end this white supremacist capitalist system that's choking the life out of us. We say let's fight for self-determination for the African American nation whose ancestors built this country with stolen labor. We uphold the sovereignty of indigenous nations, including the right to control their land and natural resources. We say let's cut off the stranglehold of empire wherever it tries to reach. In this country and beyond. And while we're at it, let's bring an end to an economy that is organized around profit and greed and exploitation and build a socialist society that provides for the needs of our people. And we are not the only ones ready for a change. The uprising to demand justice for George Floyd was a sign of things to come. We're not willing to live in the old way anymore, are we? Hell no. So join me in saying, we are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable.
Down.
No!
What are you doing?
I'm gonna show his mother. I'm gonna run over my car.
You don't have a driver's license.
I don't have a car either. So I'm gonna run a piece of shit over.
Spoken.